and welcome to another episode of She Slays the Day. I'm your host, Lauryn Brunswick, and today you get me. It's been a minute since it's just been me and this microphone, and I like solo episodes. Obviously, I don't like them so much that I do them all the time, because there are some topics you just need someone else's opinion on, and you don't want to hear my opinion on. But you know, sometimes it is just nice to get fluid thoughts out and like just be here for you guys. I really didn't have any desire from the beginning of starting a podcast, of being, okay, how do I say this? A cheesy podcast host. That's how you say it. That's not to say anything bad of like anybody who in my mind might be a cheesy podcast host. I did this because I have stuff to offer you. And so I don't always want to be in the interviewer seat. That's the interviewer. Right. So I'm excited. Anyways, so I think I have a mental health problem with Target. All right. If anybody is keeping track, this is like self-diagnosis number like 12, probably. I may or may not be a slight hypochondriac. No, some of them I'm more serious about. This one I'm definitely not serious about. But so it started like 2 years ago. And like I have like a love for Target that I think is healthy most of the time. Very healthy. But about 2 years ago, Kirby and I went to Thailand and Malaysia in November, and we came back. You know, it was, holy cow, amazing experience. Saw just such poor, like you saw just like poor people, and they were happy, and like we were, I did a mission trip while I was over there, and I was adjusting in a school. It was so cool. So then we came back, and we went shopping at Target for Christmas presents, and I had like a mini, like I was just incredibly overwhelmed, and I was just kind of overwhelmed with these feelings of not being happy because I wanted to buy everything. Now, when I say everything, I mean everything. Like it wasn't just good enough that I was buying one Christmas candle. I wanted to buy every Christmas candle. It wasn't good enough that I was getting a sweater. I was sad that I also wasn't getting pants and shoes. Like it just, I think what happens around the holidays. Okay, so that happened then. I thought it was just like coming back from a third world country. No, it just happened last week again. I had to stop at Target on my way home from a conference and was like, I spent like $300 still. And I was just sad that I didn't get everything. There is something magical that happens when Target starts putting red bows and gold glitter on things that I'm like, I need everything in this store. So yeah, I don't think that's healthy. Like I think from a consumer standpoint, if I were a third party, I'd go, you are looking to things to make you happy and feel Christmas spirit. That's not what Christmas is about. Yeah. And I see, it's funny though, because I can see it in my oldest daughter that like she is getting like a little bit of anxiety already about making sure that she has things on her Christmas list that she actually wants. And I'm like, oh girl, okay. This whole family needs to do like a detox from Christmas. Anyways, okay, but funny story about candles and Target. And then, I don't know, we'll probably get this episode rolling. Okay, so I go to Target and I'm like, all right, I love lighting candles during the winter. Yes, I know that I'm going to die from all of this fragrances in there and it's going to like harm my body and cause subluxations. It's okay. I get adjusted 1 to 2 times a week so I can burn candles. So I go to where I normally think candles are in Target. And I go to this aisle and they have some candles, like not exactly like Christmas marketed candles, but like one has like pine in it. And I'm like, all right, this will do. It's $15. Great. So I literally put it in my cart, turn around, and I see on an end cap a bunch of Christmas candles. And I'm like, oh, that's where the Christmas candles are. So I drive my cart 10 feet over to this end cap and I'm like smelling all these candles, and these ones are $10. So they're automatically cheaper. So I take the candle out of my cart, put it on the shelf because apparently I'm too lazy to walk 10 feet back and put it back where it's supposed to be. Oh my gosh. Anybody who's worked in retail is like, you're the problem. So anyway, so I'm at this new end cap and I'm like smelling and I'm like, okay. And so I pick up like 2 or 3 candles, put them in the cart. So then I start kind of walking towards, down the aisle, and I see a new end cap, again, about 15 feet away, with different Christmas candles. And I'm like, oh, well, what are these Christmas candles? So I start smelling these ones. Now, these ones are still $10, but the ounce of candle is up. So I'm like, okay, well, these are a better deal. So I start smelling and going like, okay, well, these are a better deal. So I'm going to get these candles. So I take the old candles 2, number 2, out, put them on the new shelf. Again, retailers cringing. I grab these candles, put them in my cart. Oh, you guys, it happens one more time. I walk into like the Joanna Gaines section, which is like 5 feet from where I'm standing, and there's new sets of candles. Now, these ones are the same price and the same ounces of wax, but they're in these really beautiful like mercury glass, like sparkly glass containers that are gonna like sparkle and be all pretty when I light them. So you know exactly what I do. I start smelling and I take candles number 3 out, put them on the new shelf, and put candle number 4 in my cart. And that is what I ended up buying. But don't you believe it, or don't you whatever, I don't know. I was looking for new, better candles on my way to the checkout lane. So this is why I can't be trusted in Target. I literally called Kirby on my way home and I'm like, I don't think that I should be trusted in Target without you during the Christmas season. He just laughs and I'm like, you're laughing, but I'm serious. I can't be trusted there. Okay. We're just going to have to retitle this Lauryn Complains About Target, this episode. Also, what is up with the Target app? Okay, I am not an early adapter. I've told you guys this before, that I'm actually like 34 going on 80 when it comes to new technology, except for Reels. That's a whole different thing. Or Instagram, social media in general, I'm obsessed with. But everything else, like new updates on my phone, I hate them. I hate apps. I hate learning. I just like aggressively tap at the iPad when I don't know what it's doing. So I have been avoiding learning the Target Circle app for probably about 3 years now. I think that, I don't know, that's how I would guess, 2 to 3 years they've had it. And I get up to the counter and they're like, do you have any Target Circle coupons or whatever? And I like look at them like, I don't think so. Or they'll be like, are you a member of our Circle? I'm like, I don't know. I shop here all the time. I should. So finally, there's enough of a discount. So at this whole Target experience last week, I'm like, I am going to figure out how to use this damn app. Oh, because I bought something and there's a $5 off coupon on the app for me. It was my gift card, but I didn't know how to figure it out. And so I'm like this old woman talking like at checkout, like, do you know how to work the app? Like I'm in it. And they're like, well, you have to add it to your wallet. And I'm like, oh. How do I do that? So she shows me. So then I'm like, okay, well, now where is it? They're like, well, it's in your wallet. And I'm like, okay, well, where's my wallet? So then she's like, oh, it's this icon. I'm like, okay. So then I open it and I'm like, so, okay, now what? She goes, well, now you need to select it so I can scan the barcode. I'm like, Jesus, somebody could do this better. I'm saying Target, I believe that they could have made this app a little more intuitive. That's just what I'm saying. All right. You know what time it is. It is time for me to stop talking about Target and do a listener highlight. So this one was number 101. And it was by Dr. Alyssa Lee. And it's titled Love It, and it's 5 stars. It says, loving this podcast and Dr. Lauryn. I graduated almost a year ago, had my first baby in December, struggled with postpartum anxiety, then COVID happened. Long story short, just opened my practice 2 weeks ago when many of my classmates opened months ago. I was feeling lost and unmotivated, and your podcast helped me find that last bit of encouragement I needed to finally open my doors and start serving my community. Can't recommend it enough. Thank you for all you do, Dr. Alyssa. Dr. Alyssa, girlfriend, you know how many of your colleagues are going like, she has a baby. I want a baby. So like, it's just, why do we do this to ourselves and we just compare? I'm so glad. So glad that you are feeling motivated, because damn COVID. Ugh. So you can go, hey, I had a baby. What'd you guys do this year? Yeah, thank you for that. And thanks to everyone who has written. There's been a few more reviews. I think me harassing you and being like, listen, bitches, there's like 900 of you that listen that have not written a review yet. Kirby doesn't encourage me. He just says in general, calling people bitch and using that type of motivational speech isn't effective as a leader. But I don't know. I got 4 reviews last week. So just kidding. Lovingly, thank you for those that have written a review. It really helps the podcast get seen and listened to by more people. And that is, I don't know, it's motivating to keep doing episodes. Or, oh, that sounded like a threat. Ew, no, I'm not threatening. Nobody can review me ever again, and I would still do this because I like it. But it is better when I get reviews. Just saying. So actually, speaking of like social media and reviews, I have had a lot of questions lately on social media about reels and using social media and like how do I handle the return on investment and is it worth it, and just a lot of different questions lately, and that's awesome. And I'm working on something cheap, very cheap for you guys that I'm going to be releasing in the middle of December, I believe. Kirby is cringing right now as he's listening that I'm like calling my shot and saying like, yep, now we have to do it. Yep, I announced it, honey. Anyway, so I'm not going to tell you what it is exactly yet because it's still morphing into exactly what it's going to be, but it is going to be a something small and cheap for you, but it's going to be helpful for those that have questions on social media. So we're going to release it earlier at 25% off at our email list. So if you're not on our email list, now would be a great time to do that, just if you're a little curious as to what it is. The easiest way to join our email list is to sign up for our weekly sleigh. You do that at sheslayspodcast.com/besties. Or if you're on my bio, you can click the link tree. I mean, as of now, sometimes the link tree's not there. But if you go and there is a link tree, you can click and it'll say like weekly sleigh. The weekly sleigh is a short, comical, motivational email. They're typically about 1 paragraph long, a couple sentences that just kind of get your brain thinking. We send them out Sunday night. Sunday night. So they're in your inbox Monday morning and just kind of there to like make you chuckle and make you think and help you become a better person. So they're fun. Yeah. All right. So let's pray and get into some actual meat and potatoes of this episode. So Kirby doesn't title it Lauryn Bitches About Target. Dear God, since we brought up consumerism and the spirit of Christmas, it seems like an appropriate time to talk to you about helping me and anybody else that during this time that really gets just overwhelmed with like the joy of giving and buying. And I know that this year, more and more people are likely going to be turning towards the holidays and like purchasing things in a replacement, as we have families that are like not comfortable getting together. We're going to have grandparents looking to overcompensate their love through gifts. And that's not wrong. It's not right. But be with them in their hearts as, to know that their love is enough and know that like there's so many more ways of showing it, even when you can't show up together. Just be with everyone as they are in this season that is about you and helping them find connection to themselves, connection to you inside us, and connection with the ones we love around us, however that is capable of looking during this shithole year that we have. Thanks for that. Love you for all these blessings that it had. Like, for real, thank you. Silver linings galore in this year and the lessons. You just keep them coming. Thank you. But for real, 2021, tell me that that's better. It's going to be better. All right. In your name we pray. Amen. For those that are new to the podcast, oh yeah, God knows me. He knows that like sometimes you got to slip a little swear word in there. He still loves me. This I know. All right. So I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for this episode, but sorry. I was recently at a women chiropractor event in Wisconsin Dells. When I say get in trouble, because like COVID is happening and like it's flaring up right now. And outside the chiropractic profession, some people, it can look bad that anyone is getting together. But I will just say that the WDC did an amazing job of keeping things feeling safe. They were not irresponsible at all. There were some people wearing masks. I think they did a fantastic job of holding a small event in the safest way that we can at this point. So, but funny story about it. So this has been planned. There was some amazing lineup. Nicole Purdue, who runs the WDC Her Story podcast, and does some things with social media and marketing. Not a chiropractor, but like really works for chiropractors. Cynthia Shaft, who, runs basically the WDC, Lona Cook, and Christy Wick and myself were coming together for this Wisconsin pop-up. It was like a free event for female chiros. And shout out to Foot Levelers, I guess, because they helped put it's their money that allows these events to happen for free. And shout out to like speakers, because we don't, we're not getting paid. We're showing up because we're inspired to be there for you guys. So I was planning on talking for like 45 minutes to an hour, maybe at most, on social media. And poor Nicole Purdue, who we were going to like collaborate together and do this like 3-hour talk. So like I had prepared, honestly, it was really like I had prepared 30 minutes. And then her and I were going to work together and kind of like feed off each other and do all this like organic talk on marketing social media. Well, like 12 hours before the event, basically, poor Nicole falls downstairs. I think she lives in Indiana or something like that. And she had like a 5-hour drive and she hurt her leg. Thankfully, she's fine. She didn't break anything, but she injured her knee bad enough that like, she's like, I can't drive. I'm not coming. So I found this out the night before and I'm like, and she's like, you'll be fine. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to fill 2.5 hours of social media stuff? Like, what? Well, you guys, apparently my obsession paid off. I got up there and like, I didn't even cover all the stuff that I planned on talking about. Like, cause I got to my hotel room, I'm like, all right, you're going to need to beef up this 30-minute talk because you got some time to fill. I didn't even get it through everything. I was just talking nonstop. So apparently I don't think I could do that about anything else. Although I will say the podcast does help train me to just like be comfortable talking. Not like necessarily in front of people, although I am very comfortable talking in front of people, but like, just like, I don't know. I'm pretty sure that if you said, okay, Lauryn, a speaker dropped out, we need you to get up and talk for 30 minutes on, meal prepping. Oh, that's easy. That would be fine. I could like talk about cheese, like just the various cheeses. I mean, shit, I filled 10 minutes complaining to you about Target in the beginning of this episode. So like, so anyways, but no, it was actually enjoyable and filled with relevant knowledge on something I know versus like cheeses. I'd probably just be pulling something out of my ass. So, the whole weekend was amazing and it kind of inspired me to just give you, for a lot of you, most of you listening were not there, but some of you definitely were. And so these were like my 5 main takeaways from this weekend since you didn't get to be there. But if you do get to go to a future WDC pop-up, if there is one in your state, I highly recommend it because they're fun. So the number one, or not number one of 5 things that I learned, or my takeaway from this event, is that we as chiropractors, we as women need each other more now than ever. I feel like as a chiropractor, especially if you don't work on a team with other chiropractors. But even for me, where I have a team of like, a like-minded associate and a like-minded husband, I have my little world. There's these moments where you're just like, am I the crazy one? Like, I know that you're listening right now and going, yes, because what we know is based on science and pure logic, like absolute effing logic. When you hear Dr. Mo, if you guys don't know who Dr. Mo is, like, holy cow, go follow her. She is like connects science and chiropractic. And like when you hear her talk about the vagus nerve and what research knows on it and what an adjustment does, and you're just like, how come the media is not talking about this? Not even like chiropractic. Okay, fine. Let's give them a pass. They're not talking about chiropractic. How are they not talking about natural ways to boost your immune system? How is nobody outraged that they're talking about closing gyms? How are they saying, I literally had someone tell me, a patient the other day, who was like, she was wearing a mask and she was like, well, just so you know, I was exposed to someone at work. I'm like, are you symptomatic? And she's like, no, but I just wanted you to know. And I was like, okay, yep, we're both wearing masks. Cool. Like, I'm not worried. And then I said to her, like, and honestly, I feel really safe in my role. Like, I didn't even go there. Like, I said, like, I get adjusted all the time, but like my adjustments are 5 minutes. So like, yes, I'm close with you, but even if you weren't wearing a mask and I wasn't wearing a mask and you had COVID, like, I'm not around you for 15 minutes. And isn't that like the gold standard of what they're saying? And she goes, oh no, it's cumulative throughout the day. Now, I wuss out many conversations in my clinic. There's going to need to be an entire episode devoted to Lauryn needs to grow some cojones, because I just let so many opportunities of just like, I'm not a confrontational person. You're going, what? Like, I'm not. I'm actually like, I will have patients come and I'll be like, all right, great adjustment. See you later. And they're like, yep, on my way to grab my flu shot. And I'm just like, cool. Don't know what to say. Like, what am I supposed to do? Hey, so I'm that non-confrontational that my patients don't even know that, like, I hate flu shots. Like, I'm like, fuck, okay, cool. I'm glad that they feel safe. Like, I would never I never want anybody to feel shame or judgment. But, like, they could at least know, like, well, I know you're not a fan, but I am going. And be like, hey, I respect you. You do what you got to do. But, like, no, they're just, like, bragging about it. I'm like, damn it, I really need to grow some cojones. What was I talking about? Oh, so anyway, so, like, I'm talking to this patient. She's like, oh, no, it's cumulative 15 minutes. And so this, I decided to put my foot down. I'm like, wait. So you're telling me, because she works in a hospital, that what they're telling you is that if you are exposed to 5 different positive patients with COVID for 3 minutes each, that counts as one 15-minute exposure? And she looks at me like, yeah. And I'm like, oh my God. Just like, and so like in my head, like, immunology and virology and all infectious diseases and all this like data is like going through my head. And I'm just like thinking, are you effing kidding me? That doesn't make sense. Like, that doesn't make sense that you think that our body, like, what? Oh, so my point, my takeaway, I digress, is that it's really good to be around other chiropractors in other areas of the state that you're like, I'm not crazy. Because, it's possible that I just hire crazy people and I married a crazy person and like we're all just on our own little conspiracy island. And because you start to think that, and then like you're around other people and you're like, yeah, no, okay, we're not conspiracy theorists. Like, well, I mean, I don't really know if a conspiracy is a definition false, but like, so maybe we are totally conspiracy theorists, but like, yeah, we see this level of truth that I don't understand why more people don't, but we do. And so it makes me feel a little less crazy, because there has never been a better time to be grounded in truth and it allows you to not be grounded in fear. And that is what is that glimmering, shimmery, put a bow on it hope through all of this. Because like I, as a business owner, have had major anxiety this year. There have been so many changes, so many women in that room. Their moms were dying and on hospice, their children, their marriages were ending, their children were having to quarantine, and like schools were shutting down, and they have both impaired. Like every woman in that room had like, major things happening in this year. And at least we weren't, we were of course, everyone's afraid, but we were not grounded in fear. It is normal to experience moments of fear and like, oh shit, like that person had COVID. Did I even have my mask on? Was my mask like down under my chin for that adjustment? Like those are normal thoughts, but like the level of fear that you see people having, like just not trusting their immune system. And for whatever reason, some people, maybe they shouldn't. Like there's never any shame or judgment, but I'm just glad that my family understands and trusts, like, listen, we have made decisions up until this year to be healthy. And I trust that if and when I am exposed, that my body, my innate intelligence will fight it. And that is a good place to be. That is a good place to be. The second takeaway that I got was, this is a message that I preach to you guys all the time. Adaptability over control. I see so many people paralyzed from taking action because they don't know. They're not having an annual, that maybe they normally do an annual team meeting and they're like, well, who knows what 2021 is going to be, so we're not going to do that. Or like, I'm not even going to set goals because who knows what December is going to look like. What if there's another surge? What if we're not this? And it never is a good idea. And especially now when you might be you're on the cusp of 2021 and you might be afraid because you're going like, I realized this year I have zero control over my business. I have zero control over whether my state shuts me down. I have zero control over whether my doctor gets COVID and has to quarantine and we have to completely revamp our schedule. I have zero control over so many things. You do have control over some things in your business, but you have probably learned this year that the number of things you have control over vastly surpasses the number that you do have control over. Luckily in Wisconsin, chiropractors never shut down. I cannot imagine, because I'm a wuss, okay? Like I told you this already at number 1. I am not going to be that person that goes to jail for chiropractic. Like, sorry guys. So like if Wisconsin said, chiros, close up, you will get in trouble if you're practicing, your license is on the line, I'd be like, oh shit, okay. Well, I guess I'm not seeing people. Now I would like totally see people on my front deck of my house, like outside on my like portable adjusting table. And I'd be like, shh, don't tell anybody. No, don't pay me. No paper trail. But like, I sure shit wouldn't be showing up and like boldly being like, you cannot close me. So when it comes down to like even the things I do think like, I have control over my hands. Some of you got injured this year and you're like, oh shit. Apparently I don't even have control over whether I can show up to adjust. So we've never, and we will not gain control in 2021. You did not have it in 2019. So the big thing that you need to like download it daily, remind yourself hourly of this, is that trust your adaptability. Strengthen your adaptability muscle over your need for control. People think when I say like you need to let go of control, they're like, listen, that's nice, but I got bills to pay. No, you show up, you do the work, but when you try and control how many people are going to be on your schedule, how many new patients are going to show up, what's going to happen? Is your school going to close? Like that is that's an illusion. And then what happens is you create that anxiety because you think you're trying to get control over something that is uncontrollable. So trust that you are adaptable And if you don't trust me, look at this past year and do an exercise with yourself. Come up with 10 things that popped up this year. Maybe you're a student and you had to go virtual and you're like, how am I going to learn to adjust the cervical spine virtually? Like, is it ideal? No, but that's not what you're going to dwell on. You're going to look and go yeah, I learned that. That's pretty cool. I would have never selected it for myself, but I was adaptable. Maybe you had to shut down your clinic because you got COVID for 2 weeks and you're like, how am I going to pay my bills if I have half the amount of income? Look back at that month. Well, wasn't ideal, but we adapted, we pivoted. And so really look at yourself and this year and go hey, I'm kind of awesome. I kind of trust. I don't know what's going to happen, but I think I can handle it. And allow yourself to settle into that you are going to handle it as it comes and you're going to make a game plan, because no game plan, you can't pivot when you don't have a game plan. That is where you're going to have franticness. One of the best things you can do is have a loose game plan, start taking action, and then you can pivot from there as you need be. But if you're not doing anything, then you're just going to get dumped on as new things happen. And that's what I see so many people drowning in anxiety of well, what's your game plan? Well, I don't have one because I don't know what's coming next. Well, duh, you didn't before this and you won't after this. But that didn't stop you from signing up for chiropractic school. That didn't stop you from dating. Didn't stop, so just keep swimming. So my number three takeaway, Lona Cook brought this up in her talk. And, she said that she used to think that the law of attraction was sitting and writing things down, right? Rachel Hollis is making more money in 1 year than I make in my business probably from her selling these journals that are literally people writing down. And it's not a slam at her. She tells people, you don't need my journal to do this. But literally she tells people write it down, write it down, write it down. And this is not bagging on that. I'm a huge fan of writing down goals, but that is not law of attraction. And Lona Cook talked about how we have been proven scientifically to be magnetic beings. And law of attraction, you can write down 1,000 different things a day. If the cells of your body are not vibrating and attracting good into your life, I don't know, just keep writing, I guess. If you are not living and vibrating at the energy that is going to magnetize love into your life, magnetize joy into your life. I can't remember the author for the life of me, but it's Power Over Force or Force Over Power. Ah, shit. I don't know. Kirby will put it in the soap notes. I almost said the soap notes. The show notes of the book that I've read that's awesome and what she was quoting, but she's talking about there is a magnetic frequency to fear. There is a magnetic attraction to negativity. There is also a magnetic higher attraction to joy and love. So when you are talking about maybe you're single and you're I want to find myself a husband in 2021. And you're just I'm going to find a husband. I'm going to find a husband. You're that's all your lines in the Start Today journal from Rachel Hollis. But you are closed down to love because you are sad and depressed. Oh man, that went a judgy way. Sorry, if you're dealing with depression, that's not your fault. Okay. But if you are only attracting negativity, you might find yourself a husband, but I don't think he's going to be the husband that you necessarily thought you were signing up for, because goes to like. So if you are negative, you are just going to attract more of that in. And so it's well, Lauryn, what the hell am I supposed to do about that? Well, one, read the book. But there's a fine line between forcing yourself. You cannot force yourself into being a better person. You can force yourself to wake up early. You can force yourself to put the running shoes on. You can force yourself to not scream at your kids when you have a tantrum. You can force yourself to stop drinking. You can force yourself to do a diet and detox and cleanse. But at a certain point, I challenge you to check the energy that you are surrounding whatever you are forcing. So let's say it's a detox, okay? You are physically going to stop eating sugar, caffeine, and alcohol. And you are going to force feed yourself kale and cilantro and turmeric and all those lovely, lovely things. Okay. Like chiropractors, this is going to be way easier for you than the non-chiropractors to like follow this path on me. So if you're a patient, you're listening, just ask me at your next appointment. I'll try and help you out here. But like, you can force yourself to consume good things. But if you, the host, are pissed off that you're not eating pizza for lunch and you're just like, kale, do you truly believe that you can chemically detox while emotionally consuming that much garbage? Like, your body will physically detox because you've stopped the inflow of chemical trauma, but you are incorporating this emotional trauma with it. It's like with exercise and people where they talk about people who work out 7 days a week. And it's like at a certain point, it's like, actually you're overworking out because you're stressing your body and your body's releasing cortisol. And it's like, so it's like, you just need to check. It's not to say don't show up early. It's not to say don't do good things for yourself and be disciplined. But look at the energy that you as a human being are surrounding that new disciplinary action with, because that is going to do more manifestation than writing things down. And like, well, I'm at the gym, I am manifesting a healthier me. It's like, oh, are you though? Are you? So, like I said, chiros are probably going to follow that train of thought a lot easier, but I think you get it. So number 4, I believe, so I've actually heard this story from multiple people. It was Christy Wick talking about it that reminded me. She was talking about how about 5 years into practice, she started like shedding that, like, she was practicing a way that like other people, yada, yada. I'm not paraphrasing it very well at all. It's not the point. The point, the number 4 takeaway was, I remember thinking when she said it, like, I was like, oh yeah, 5 years into practice is when I did that also. That's when I realized, like, I kind of was like, why am I doing this? Why am I taking insurance? Why am I open these hours? Why do I say these things? Why are these my beliefs on that? Because my story, I shared it at both the Sublux Nation Summit that I did for Nona Javid and at this summit for the WDC, where I didn't use the word subluxation for 5 years in practice. 5 years. I actually avoided it like the plague because like it created a visceral response for me to say the word subluxation. Like only weird chiros use that word. That was my thought. And so I, told the story about like how it was this epiphany and like how I went through this process, and like it was around 5 years into practice that shit really, I started stepping into my own as a chiropractor. And even now, 10 years into practice, so in like 2 weeks is my 10-year anniversary for when I signed papers. Oh my gosh, I'm going to do a mini just retelling you guys how that story, because this is just a whole funny thing. If you have listened to every episode, you've heard it, so you don't need to listen to the mini, but I'm sure I'll make it funnier, so you should re-listen to it. But anyway, my point is that 10 years, so we just built this building and we went to open adjusting. I've wanted to do open adjusting for years, but I was like, we'll do like bays, and we did like T-walls. And then we're also barefoot, and we're like, and there's just all of this stuff like that. I played, this seems like a super small thing, but I played Christian music or Christian radio on our Spotify the other day. I've never done that. I love listening to Christian music. I also like listening to rap, and I'm not about to start doing that at the clinic. But there is this thing where like, not a rebirth, but it's like this extra layer of this is who I am is coming out in my confidence as a chiropractor. There's been a necessary part of finding it Like I didn't graduate knowing this was the chiropractor I wanted to be, but I just hid it from other people. And that is the point. That's the point of 4 of where my rambling is coming to, is that I see so many students just like, tell me seminars, tell me books, like, should I be shadowing more? And yes. Will that speed up the process? Yes. Could I have saved so much time if I would have signed up with coaching right away? Yes. But you can't force it. It is extremely normal, even if you do all the quote unquote, the checklist, Enneagram 1 stuff, but like, here's the checklist of what I need to do in order to like be the best chiropractor I can be the day after I get licensed. There is an evolution that happens as a chiropractor where you continue to shed the bullshit that's not serving you anymore. And you find this confidence and comfort in yourself as the chiropractor that you were put on this earth to be. And it's okay if you don't graduate as that chiropractor. You might graduate better than I was, and that's fantastic. But I guarantee you, even that person 5 years in to practice and 10 years in, now this doesn't happen automatically. You got to continue to do the work. Believe me, there are plenty of washed up 10-year chiropractors who were better the day after graduation. But I'm saying, like, don't beat yourself up that like you can't force wisdom. That is the difference between intelligence and wisdom, is that wisdom comes with like finding your truth and feeling comfortable in that. So I sure as hell hope that 15 years from now, not from now, on my 15-year anniversary, that my patients don't brag that they're going to get their flu shot. I never want them to not feel trusted and like love me and know that I love them endlessly. They might still be getting their flu shot. I do not strive to have a practice where 100% of people don't get the flu shot. Like that, whatever. That's too much stress on you. But like, at least they know like, hey, I know you're not a fan, but this is what's right for me. And I'm like, cool. Yes, you do you. Like, but the fact that, I am so quiet about so many things, that I'm so non-confrontational, like I'd like to step into my a little more Socratic method. And I think just to kind of circle around, that's the big reason that I don't do more, is I need to become more Socratic in helping people find their truth. And I think that's just going to be my evolution as a human. That needs to happen is like, you even see it on the podcast. It's like, well, here's what I would do. And I just like kind of, here, I have the answer. Listen to me. And so I have learned earlier on that when you confront someone, whether it's about like, oh, we're going to do, we're going to go get our flu shots. I don't have the skill set yet to walk them out of that where it's their idea. Right now, my skill set would be like, seriously? You're joking, right? You're going to get the flu shot? Like, do you know what that does to you? Like, I would just kind of like bleh, vomit all over them, and then people get defensive. So I learned that a long time ago, that my way of approaching things, like big things like that, tends to be a little bit of a bull, and that doesn't, bode well for them getting defensive against me. So I just kind of like, okay, cool. Also vitamin D, just, yeah, okay, anyways. So coming back to point 4, please don't put all the stress of the world on yourself, that you need to be the most insightful, impactful, purposeful, philosophically filled. You need to be the best version of you're ever going to be right now. Keep doing the work, and like, you're just going to continue to step into yourself, and it's going to feel so good. There is some benefits to aging for sure. So 5th and final takeaway, although I could have had 10, but Kirby's actually shooting for me to do a shorter episode and not a 2-hour episode, but I just can't shut up. I'm actually jealous. There are some people that have like they're chiropractors that have these like 20-minute episodes, and I'm like, how'd you do that? I I can't even stop talking about Target for 20 minutes. Like, okay, cool. That's great. It's a skill set I, again, don't have. Maybe one day. And I talk so fast that you can't even listen to me on hyperspeed. I had another person the other day message me like, oh my gosh, I've gotten used to listening to you, but I had you on, I can't remember who it is. They're like, I had you on and my fiance was listening, and they're like, how do you even understand what she's saying? And she's like, I don't know. But he realized that she was listening to me at like 1.25 or 1.5 speed, which I just cannot imagine. So anyways, number 5, this was like the main takeaway from Dr. Christy Wick's talk, was that we overcomplicate things as chiropractors. We know all the things, and I don't know like why we think we need to make chiropractors out of people. That was her point, is that like we think that they need to know about polyvagal theory, and they need to know like the science and this and that, and that T2 is like helps with the lungs, and like I do this all the time. I do it all the time, and that I overcomplicate the message, and then guess what ends up happening? 3 years after seeing a patient for wellness care, I've been seeing a patient once a week for 3 years. They get off the table and they're like, see you, Lauryn, on my way to get my flu shot. And I'm like, motherfucker, like, where did I go wrong? How do you know enough? And it's because we just overcomplicate it. We overcomplicate, and then it gets lost, and they know like this is good. It makes me feel good. I'm not really sure why. She gets excited when something clears well and she's talking about like, and so we need to, I recommend you do what Christy Wick recommends and go through all of your marketing, go through your website, go through like your table talk, your day 1, your day 2. If you are wondering like what my team meeting should be about this year, our team meeting is going to be about simplify. Simplify everything we're doing. Simplify everything we're saying. Because in order to grow, it's going to require work, right? Like unless you're newer in practice, sometimes you can just kind of show up. But if you've been in practice a while and you are stagnant, in order to unstagnate yourself, get unstuck, it is going to require more or different work, like the cliche phrase of work smarter, not harder. And in order to give yourself more bandwidth, because more than likely this year you are exhausted and you are like, oh my gosh, I am working my ass off and I can't imagine working harder next year. Go through everything that you are doing. And do you need to keep doing it? It might have served you before, but is it now? And I see so many people struggle because maybe you're a chiropractor that really you're like, I'm the webinar chiropractor. This is like other chiropractors know me as this. I give really amazing webinars. I one time had 400 people signed up for a webinar and I converted 50 into new patients. And this is my talking thing. And that's fantastic. Is this still working for you? Because if it's not, this is your permission. You don't have to keep doing them. Christy Wick gave me this permission last week when we saw each other. I said, I'm just excited to get back to events. And she said, you are? We're never doing events again. And I'm like, wait, what? And it was this permission to, wait, so I can be successful and market within chiropractic without doing events? Okay. Let's talk about that. So it's whatever it is for you, if you were killing it in events before COVID and, things are calming down and you feel good and your community feels good about doing an event, do it. It's not to say that doing events are wrong. If webinars are working for you, do them. If your social media is working for you, if working out at 5 a.m. is working for you, keep doing it. But if your alarm is going off at 4:30 in the morning, and you're going for this high intensity run because you're wanting to get healthier and stronger, is it working, or are you just draining your batteries? So this is your permission to go through your personal life, through your professional life, and go, what am I overcomplicating? Is it still working for me? Does it need to go? And where can I simplify? Where can I simplify systems, procedures, grocery shopping, like whatever it is, in order to grow in 2021 as a human? You're going to need to find more bandwidth. In order to convert more people, you're going to need to make your message clearer. So look through and where can you simplify? So there you go. There were my takeaways. I will reiterate, if you are not getting the weekly sleigh, I would love for you to sign up. Go to sheslayspodcast.com/besties. There is going, like I said, we are going to send you emails on Sunday nights with funny, inspirational information in there just to kind of get your mind right and laugh a little bit. That's kind of the goal of this podcast. Laugh a little bit, connect with yourself, connect with God, connect with spirit. And there is going to be an email going out on December 11th, just to the email list, with a one-time introductory offer to the special secret thing that Kirby's mad I told you about. All right, everyone, please have a wonderful holiday week. Connect with each other however you can. Find time to connect with yourself every morning, every night, however it is on your lunch hour. Connect to spirit inside you and find this joy in this season, and don't just spread glitter all over everything and wrap a bow on it and expect yourself. It's okay to be feeling those feelings. And, especially if you're an Enneagram 4, it's okay to feel the feelings, and just continue to connect with each other and yourself. I almost ended this episode by saying, in your name we pray, amen. All right, She Slayers, I will see you next week.